Hi there, my name is John Dykstra. I teach 7th and 8th grade science in the Anchorage School District. Today I'm going to share a couple of genetics lessons and discuss how they relate to the new SSAs. The science standards for Alaska were developed as a student-centered approach to science instruction to engage students and facilitate educators to engage in a new way of looking at science in their classrooms. They're based on the frameworks for K-12 science education published by the National Academies Press. Our objectives today are to explore a phenomena and relate it to the new SSAs, and hopefully gain confidence in how this might look in your classroom. So both lessons that I have chosen to share with you, I found through the University of Utah and have used in my classroom many times over the last several years. They are allowed to be shared, and you can easily find them by Googling University of Utah genetics. So the first one is called a recipe for traits. This lesson focuses on a phenomenon familiar to our students. Why do we look like we do? So I can't get these links to open in this recording, so I've just kind of shared the documents in my next couple slides. So the students learn that the differences in DNA lead to different traits by randomly choosing strips of paper that represent DNA and then decoding the DNA strips to complete a drawing of a dog. So here are the instructions for a recipe for traits. Don't bother to read all these, I'll just paraphrase them for you. But again, you can see the address up there too to find this online for yourself. So a set of instructions called DNA makes a recipe for traits in all organisms. Information in a DNA strand is grouped into small segments. Each segment is made of even smaller units, like recipes are made of words and words are made of letters. Differences in the DNA alphabet are what make differences in traits. Just like a different sequence of letters makes different words and a different recipe. So while this lesson definitely simplifies the process, I believe it makes the ideas of DNA and genetics accessible to all students. So students randomly choose their DNA samples from an envelope and use these to determine the traits of their dog. They then draw the dog with the given traits. So here's an example of strips they'll pull out and the key to what they'll make their dog look like to represent all of these different things. Now, of course, with the kids' individuality, not all dogs will look the same, just even with the same traits. But then, of course, they all have these separate traits. So hopefully you'll end up with a bunch of different looking dogs and lead to a high quality class discussion about traits and where they come from. So now, while this might be kind of simple, the next slide I'm going to show you is a lesson that's a little more complex. And on this website from LearnGenetics.utah.edu, there are some definitely more complex ones that are similar to the dog one that you could use if your kids need a little more of a challenge. So this one is called Have Your DNA and Eat It Too. This is a little more complex activity and has the students actually build models of DNA. So this one, the kids or you will need to bring in more supplies, namely licorice, like Twizzlers, colored marshmallows, toothpicks, paper clips, masking tape. This one I've done in my class, and you could maybe use this one in a virtual environment as well. Have the kids make these at home. They could be in pairs or solo. Definitely more complex. This says basically one class period. I'm not sure if the kids could finish in the class period or not, but here are the student pages, and I think the directions are pretty clear for them. And as they go, they can build these and twist them. Now, my experience, when we made them, they are fragile when you start twisting them. But it's a great visual representation for the kids to see this. So on the next slide, here's the SSA that we've mainly covered for these lessons. It's Middle School Life Science 3-1. So under the science and engineering practices, we constructed 2 models of increasing complexity. Now, a lot of times, of course, kids love doing experiments, but some of these topics we cover, like genetics, it's not always feasible to do a full-on lab with these things. So models have a very good place, whether it's a drawing or the actual 3-dimensional model. And then under the disciplinary core ideas, we've hit on a lot of these here: growth and development of organisms. Organisms reproduce either sexually or asexually and transfer their genetic information to their offspring. This covers the inheritance of traits. So the variations of inherited traits between parent and offspring arise from genetic differences that result from the subset of chromosomes and therefore genes inherited. And this also shows the variation of traits from sexual reproduction. Cross-cutting concepts in this one that's pretty easy to see is the cause and effect the different DNA would have in the traits. So I hope my presentation has helped you understand how you can incorporate the new SSAs into lessons you already teach. I believe good science instruction naturally includes these elements, but the SSAs just help make it more systematic. Thank you for viewing this video. Please check out this channel for more videos on the SSAs and other educational topics. For more information about the Science Standards for Alaska, including resources, planning guides, and tools, please visit the Department of Education and Early Development Standards webpage at the below address.